Family, friends, and guests, please welcome the faculty and 2015 graduating class of Portland State University!
next life. Yeah.
هلا
Family, friends, and guests, please rise for the platform party.
Welcome to Portland State University's Spring Commencement Ceremony. My name is Sana Andrews, and I'm the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, and it's my honor to lead today's ceremony. Joining me on the stage are honored guests, PSU academic and administrative leaders, and our two student speakers for commencement, and also all of them are listed in your program. Please rise for the singing of America the Beautiful by Portland State University's vocal jazz group, PDX Connections.
Shining sea, and crown
Thank you. Thank you to PDX Connections. Please take your seats. Our ceremony is being broadcast live online and also on Oregon Public Broadcasting. Please visit pdx.edu for further details. And now I'm very pleased to introduce to you the president of Portland State University, Wim Wiewel. President Wiewel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, class of 2015, and congratulations, you did it! Today, some 6,000 of you have earned degrees. You represent one of the biggest graduated classes in Oregon ever. This is fantastic, and make sure to give yourself another round of applause, loud enough so they can hear you in Salem. That's the Viking spirit. When I look at everyone here today, I'm struck, and I'm sure you are too, by the incredible diversity we have here at PSU. Not just racial and ethnic diversity, but the working mothers, the caring fathers, the young prodigies, the older career changers, the first in their families to get a degree, the former high school valedictorians, the ones who held down 2 jobs and still managed a full course load, the international students so far away from home. Most of you, 81% to be precise, are from Oregon, but the rest of you come from 44 other states and 51 different nations. Together, you make up the most diverse graduating class in Oregon. Look around. This is what achievement looks like. Savor it. And by all means, take a selfie and tweet about it. This is your chance to see a post up on the Jumbotron. You're going to be hearing a lot of names today, and you'll hear from some very accomplished student speakers. But there are just a few of your classmates I want to mention. At 77, Michelle Reed is earning her bachelor's degree in archaeology and ready to use her new skills at historic sites around the country. Our youngest graduate is Edison Tsai, who at 16, don't you hate that, got his bachelor's in mathematics with honors, just to rub it in, and is now enrolled in our PhD program in electrical and computer engineering. Don't you all feel like slackers now? Then there is Jose Gastelum, the son of undocumented immigrants from Mexico. He worked 30 hours a week making pizzas while earning his business degree in supply and logistics management. And there's Ashley Schaefer. While studying for her architecture degree, she traveled a good chunk of the world to document examples of what she calls disabling architecture. Her goal is to design spaces that are inviting to people with disabilities. I mention these graduates to show just some of the breadth that PSU encompasses. Every one of you has a fearless story to tell. One of the things I like best about this university is how much all of you get out and do things while you're working for that degree that you're about to receive. You don't just ask the questions, you get out there and become part of the solutions. You embrace PSU's motto, let knowledge serve the city, and you do so with the kind of creativity and flair that helps keep Portland weird and puts PSU on a lot of interesting national lists. Now, this is the really good thing, we're one of the top universities for women in technology, according to one list. All right. We're one of the most bicycle-friendly universities, says another. No surprise there. And we are the #3 most hipster school in the entire nation. And perhaps on a more serious note, we did make the U.S. News & World Report's top 10 list of up-and-coming universities for the 3rd year in a row. That's your doing. We celebrate all of you today. You bucked the odds. It's no easy feat to enroll in college, choose a major, and do the work necessary that earns you those caps and gowns. Now here you are, ready to receive the diploma that will launch the next phase of your life. I have to add, your timing is good. You're heading into one of the best job markets in a long time. Make the most of this opportunity, and remember, sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. As you look back on your time at Portland State and on your accomplishments, take a moment to reflect on the help you had getting here. No one does this alone. Maybe it was the professor who gently redirected you on your essay or your experiment. Maybe it was the advisor who made sure you took the right courses and had the means to complete the degree. Think about the philanthropists who helped fund this wonderful university. Think about the faculty, the staff, your classmates who pulled all-nighters with you. And look around you at the family and friends who stuck with you, supported you, and are with you today. Let's give them all a round of applause. We're counting on you, class of 2015, to stay fearless, build a better and more sustainable future, and help those students who will follow in your footsteps. So be generous, use your creativity, and go Vikes!
Thank you, President Vivell. Portland State University is governed by our own Board of Trustees. We are honored that Trustee Christine Vanier is with us today to give greetings from the PSU Board of Trustees.
I'm so honored to be representing the Portland State University Board of Trustees at your commencement. We are all so proud of you. I'm not an alum of PSU, but I came to support PSU and join the board because of the way PSU works with the community, the way that, because of PSU's great faculty, the diversity of the campus, PSU's emphasis on sustainability, but mostly because of students like you. I know that many of you, like me, are the first in your family to go to college. I know that many of your families have struggled to help pay for your college, and you yourselves have struggled. But I hope on this exciting day, you'll feel that all of those struggles were worthwhile. My one request of you, as you move into your careers, is to not forget those struggles and to try to help those students who follow. You might be a mentor to one of those students. You might be a tutor or a cheerleader, or even help with scholarships later in your career. I'm sure that you're well prepared by this great institution to be successful. I wish you the best in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you, Trustee Vanier, for your kind words and for your service on the board. Graduates, as you transition from being students to alumni, you should know that there are PSU alumni located throughout the world. PSU alumni are well respected in the world of work and in graduate schools across the nation and the globe. Please join me in welcoming David Audley, the president of the PSU Alumni Association.
Thank you, Provost Andrews. Class of 2015, my fellow Portland State alumni. It is a privilege joining you, your family, and your friends to celebrate your graduation. From the moment you stepped on campus as students, you began your membership with a powerful and resourceful organization, more than 150,000 strong, our Portland State Alumni Association. We are your enduring link to PSU, a lifelong resource of social, educational, and professional support that extends around the world. Years ago, I sat right where you are today, and like many of you, I was ready to lead and be challenged in a competitive yet uncertain future. I took with me the confidence and the enthusiasm I learned right here, and a strong academic, social, and ethical foundation I learned at PSU. I have no doubt that you will do the same. Wherever your lives lead you, whatever successes you have, and whenever you need to reach classmates and friends, our Alumni Association will always be your connection. Though you leave here today, Portland State University will always be a part of you, and we invite you to take advantage of our network and always remain active in your Alumni Association. Again, congratulations, best wishes, thank you, and go Vikes!
Thank you, President Audley. I would also like to thank our faculty, a number of whom are here with us today, for their efforts in guiding these students to successful completion of their academic programs. Their expertise and dedication to our students is outstanding, and we should all give them a round of applause. And now, to the graduates. I wish to pay special tribute to the more than 1,000 undergraduate students graduating with academic honors. Candidates graduating with academic honors can be identified by cords worn around their regalia. Will those receiving Latin honors please stand, and will everyone give these students a round of applause? Graduates, you may be seated. Our student speakers this year represent the talented class of 2015. Our first student representative is Ruben Reyes Santiago. Ruben is receiving a Bachelor's of Science in both psychology and social work. Our second student representative is Raylene McMillan, who is receiving her Bachelor of Arts in Political Science this winter quarter.
Alrighty, so this ain't part, but if I can have everybody just do the go bike with me in 1, 2, 3. Thank you all. So today, we are united to celebrate our achievements, to celebrate every tear shed, every battle won, and to celebrate what is to come. While at Portland State University, we celebrate all the people that helped us succeed. We all have a story of how we got to where we are today. I still remember the day when my parents cried because I was not doing good in middle school, and the reason being because they did not want me to work 2 full-time jobs to get by like they do. In high school, I realized that I wanted to go to college and pursue a psychology degree. But with a tear in my eye, I knew that I had no chance because I was undocumented. My story almost ended before I had a chance to begin. And as with many undocumented students, my drive to succeed was there, but fear of lack of financial assistance put a damper on my dream of higher education. Luckily, in high school, I managed to obtain a scholarship to attend a community college. While at the community college, I learned about a PSU scholarship that would help me pay for my education. I filled out the application, and the day came when I had to turn it in. Unfortunately, for some reason, when I arrived, I couldn't find parking. As you and I know, finding parking is like finding a needle in a haystack. I ended up finding parking 10 blocks away and ran to Smith to submit my application. Fortunately, I made it 3 minutes before they closed. Finally, all the hard work had paid off. One day I came home and a letter from PSU was there. There it was, with the response starting as congratulations. I could not believe my eyes. I had just received a scholarship to attend PSU. But then the hard work really started when I had to start my program. At PSU, I realized that my passion was just not in psychology, but also in social work. Now I will graduate with my double major in psychology and social work. And my next step is to pursue my master's in social work and continue serving my community. That is my fearless PSU story. Thank you. All of us have our own story where we had to encounter many different challenges to be where we are today. That is today. We are here to graduate and to celebrate and to share our fearless story. Thank you, class of 2015 and everybody.
When I first visited the Portland State campus as a young girl, I was enthralled. Gaping in awe at the students hurrying about, I shifted my little book bag, and I did my best impression of a college student, walking along as though my 9-year-old self could somehow blend in with the student body. There was something about life at Portland State that I felt destined for. Something about the people around me signified progress and well-being. I told my grandparents, pointedly, I am going to go here someday. But, like many of you that I sit here with today, my personal economic circumstances did not see me into college directly following high school. At age 28, the decision to finally enroll at Portland Community College was the most important decision I have ever made. Beginning college in my late 20s was intimidating, but both PCC and PSU welcomed me with open arms. I found myself excelling, not only in academics, but in student leadership as well. 3 years of student government at both institutions culminated in serving you as your student body vice president this year, which was nothing short of an honor. I cannot think of 28,000 people I would rather represent than the Portland State student body. Like many of you, I have a vision for Portland State. We talk a lot about how to improve our university, and we shoulder its budgetary woes. But we also spend a lot of time talking about the phenomenal professors that our programs have to offer. Thousands of us join hundreds of different student organizations. We work out at the rec center, we eat at the food carts, we study in the park blocks. We have countless opportunities for civic engagement and leadership development. We plug directly into our urban surroundings, and we innovate ways to let knowledge truly serve the city. We have strong and varied opinions about how to make our school better, but we know when it is time to stand united for a common goal. We hail from all over the world and from all along the gender spectrum. We are 28,241 unique and beautiful stories. We are the students, and those of us sitting here today, the alumni of Portland State University. Fellow members of the class of 2015, congratulations, we did it.
Thank you to both of our student speakers. I'd like to welcome back the PSU vocal jazz group, PDX Connections, who will perform Into the Woods, a reflective song for the class of 2015.
I'm up in the to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods, and I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow, so I can slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time. I'm up in the woods. I'm down on my mind. I'm building a still to slow down the time.
Thank you very much. President Vivell will now introduce the 2015 honorary doctorate recipients.
It's my pleasure to introduce our honorary degree recipients this afternoon, Shanine Coles and Terry Cross. Shanine has been described as the guardian angel of PSU's music programs. Her patronage has helped bring national renown to PSU's opera program, and her gifts have supported dozens of talented young singers and orchestra students. She also supports the Portland Opera and many nonprofit organizations in Portland, and her philanthropy extends across the United States. Ms. Coles trained as a singer, making her operatic debut at the age of 17. She studied voice at the prestigious Hart College in Connecticut and the Academy of Vocal Arts in Philadelphia. She went on to perform professionally and was in the Broadway production of Oklahoma. She moved across the country in the 1960s to Oregon, and after acquiring a franchise, became one of the Portland area's most successful businesswomen. That success translated into philanthropy, and fortunately for us, she took a keen interest in PSU's music programs. She founded the Shanine Coles Endowed Scholarship in 1993, which has transformed PSU's music. Most recently, she established the Shanine Coles Vocal Performance Professorship, which has boosted the faculty in the School of Music. Because of her gifts, PSU is now the only university in the West to produce a full opera with orchestra each year. Thank you for your generosity, Shanine, and it's my pleasure to confer upon you this honorary doctorate of humane letters. Thank you, Shanine, for your continued support of Portland State University and our students. Our keynote speaker and honorary degree recipient today is Terry Cross. Terry is a member of the Seneca Nation and an internationally known expert and advocate for human rights. He's the founding executive director of the National Indian Child Welfare Association, which fights child abuse and neglect and works to keep American Indian children with American Indian families. He received his master's degree in social work from Portland State in 1977. He's one of our own. And he served as adjunct faculty in the School of Social Work for 25 years. In '99, he was already named Portland State's Alumnus of the Year. Mr. Cross has authored numerous articles, chapters, and reports dedicated to improving the lives of Indian children. His defining work on the term cultural competency in 1989 led to the co-authorship of Towards a Culturally Competent System of Care, published by Georgetown University. In 2009, he received the Civic Engagement Award for Excellence in Community-Based Research. In 2011, he received the Robert Kennedy Children's Action Corps Embracing the Legacy Award at the Kennedy Presidential Library in Boston. That honor came from Mr. Cross's tireless work on behalf of American Indian and Alaskan Native children. It is my pleasure, Terry Cross, to confer this honorary doctorate of humane letters. Please welcome Terry Cross.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, and Yahweh. In the language of my people, I give thanks that you are well. I have been pondering this speech for months, and one day as I sat working on it, my son asked me what I was up to. When I told him, he said, "Now wait, you're getting a degree and you're giving the commencement address? How often does that happen?" Well, I didn't know the answer to that question, but it sparked the inspiration for which I'd long been searching the interior reaches of my consciousness. This address is an opportunity to both reflect on what brought me to this moment and to offer all of you whatever benefit you might glean from the lessons that I have learned in my unlikely journey. And so, for the next 12 minutes, I will share with you a few brief stories, a challenge, and an invitation. My first story is about service. I'm a citizen of the Seneca Nation of Indians from the Allegheny Reservation in western New York State. When I was a young man, I graduated with my master's degree in social work from Portland State University, one of 5 schools of social work in the country to have an American Indian education program at the time. As part of our graduation festivities, we posted messages to each other on a bulletin board. My message read, quote, "An MSW does not a social worker make," unquote. Remember, it's not the degree, it's what you do with it. After graduation, I went home to my reservation to work. I was one of the first tribal members to return with an advanced degree. It was both one of the most meaningful periods of my life and one of the worst. It was the best because I came under the influence and mentorship of one of our traditional elders, a spiritual leader who would help me learn who I truly am. It was the hardest of times because I learned the deep and crippling corruption of the human experience, the lie called racism. I was to learn that being an advocate for our people, and especially for our children, would put me in the crosshairs of those whose privilege could only be maintained by continued oppression of my community. At that time, of 100 Seneca children who started kindergarten, only 2 would graduate from high school. Racism in the border town school was deeply embedded and systemic. One of my most positive experiences was to receive my Seneca name, Hanigano. I'm a member of the Bear Clan. In our tribe, the clan mothers hold the names, and you're given a name that's chosen for you. In my tribe, we have both baby names and grown-up names. You can be renamed at any time. Since I had not been given a baby name, there was discussion among the elders about which I should be given. When my elder told me that Hanigano literally means the one who watches out over water, I said, "I really like it. It sounds majestic." He said, "Don't get too big for your britches, it means water boy." At that moment, I was quite sure that I had been given a baby name. Sometime later, after years of service to Indian children and families, I went back to my elders and asked if it might be time for me to get an adult name. "What is your name?" said one elder. "Hanigano," I said. "You silly young man," she said, "that is a grown-up name." As I pondered this, I realized that it made perfect sense. A water boy carries the water for his people. What had seemed a humble name suddenly felt like a high honor, for mine had become a path of service, and my name fit. I had grown into it. When people ask me, what's the secret of your success? I say it's mostly about showing up. You see, I didn't set out to be a leader. I didn't set a goal of establishing a successful national nonprofit or writing a seminal work defining cultural competence. I set out to confront and correct wherever I could the racial inequities that I had experienced as a child and as a young social worker at Allegheny. When there were moments of opportunity to bring change, I took them. When an elder said, "You will speak on our behalf," I did. When someone said, "Go dream," I jumped in. I discovered that showing up takes courage. In the early years, when I was asked to speak, my palms would sweat, my mouth would get dry, my knees would shake. I'd get to where I could hardly talk. But I pushed through the fear to be able to speak at conferences, to give testimony to Congress, to do media interviews, and to address international audiences. I came to learn that an opportunity to speak for our people was an opportunity to claim the legitimacy of our humanity, confront the wrongs of the past, and recruit those of good heart and goodwill to the cause of the survival of our indigenous cultures. I learned to become the manifestation of the prayers of my ancestors, to be bold in my advocacy, and to always speak truth to power. Last summer, I testified at the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, before the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, convincing that committee to cite the United States government for not enforcing its own laws to protect American Indian children. That testimony provided a foundation for policy changes unfolding even as we gather today. How is it that a shy young Seneca social worker would come to experience all this, I've asked myself. It is a gift for sure. The deepest feeling I have about this life of service is gratitude. I have learned that every door that opened was prepared by others before me. I have come to know that for me to make a difference, someone had to prepare me, believe in me, support me, teach me. My journey of service was laid out for me as if by design. I am grateful to my family, to my teachers, to my mentors, to my elders, and my ancestors for affording me so many opportunities to make a difference. My Seneca culture has as a central theme giving thanks. Every important gathering begins with a Thanksgiving address. Every ceremony has an element of giving thanks. Even today, in this ceremony, it is important for us to give thanks. I thank those who shaped my path to carry me here today. I thank those who nominated me for this honorary degree, and I thank the president and the deans who invited me here to speak today. And I thank the families and the friends who are gathered here to support all of us, mine included. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the W.K. Kellogg Foundation's America Healing Conference in Asheville, North Carolina. Several years ago, the Kellogg Foundation trustees took the bold step of committing to becoming the premier anti-racism funder in the nation. I have had the privilege of being one of Kellogg's racial healing practitioners. Last month's convening brought together over 500 advocates and activists from around the country, each deeply concerned about race relations in our nation. Given current events, it was an intense and important gathering. I co-facilitated a healing dialogue of almost 20 representatives, youth from Ferguson, Missouri, political leaders from New Orleans, a founder of the Young Lords, and a chief of the Onondaga Nation. Each spoke from his or her own heart about the work on social justice, racial equity, and racial healing. It was truly an inspirational gathering. We are living in a time of transformation. Demographics are changing rapidly, and soon we will be a much more diverse nation ethnically, racially, and culturally. The question is not if this will happen, but when. More importantly, the question is how. While facilitating the group dialogue, a question came to me. Will we repeat unsustainable patterns of artificial hierarchy based on culture and skin color, or will we pursue a path of truth, healing, and reconciliation? The answer depends entirely on our collective internal compass. We can easily look back 50 or 150 years and see the injustices that were commonplace. It is much harder to see injustices as they exist around us, such as over-incarceration or income inequality, but somehow we must. My challenge to you is this: check your internal compass and ask, what is my opportunity to seek the critical truth at this moment in history? How will I use what I have gained at this institution of higher education to bring balance and harmony in my own family, community, profession, or in civil society? We all have a role to play. My invitation to you, to all of you, is simply this: show up in service to others with gratitude and courage, with your compass held firmly on true north. And I guarantee that you will have an interesting life. You will not just have letters behind your name or volumes of acquired knowledge. You will understand that knowledge in context is the essence of wisdom. That is where to seek meaning in your life. That, I believe, based on my experience, is how each of us can play a positive role in the day-to-day unfolding of a future for which we yearn. May you all be blessed with interesting lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Your words are expiring, and I'd like to again congratulate our 2 honorary doctorates. President Vivell, here with us today are candidates who have completed all of the requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education. Will the candidates for doctoral degrees please rise?
you. Oh, much better. I'll help you.
On behalf of the deans of the schools and colleges and the faculty, I'm pleased and honored to present the candidates for the highest degrees awarded by the university. The names of those awarded doctoral degrees are listed in your program alongside the titles of their dissertations. President Vivell, I recommend that these candidates be awarded their respective doctoral degrees.
On recommendation of the graduate faculty and the authority vested in me by the Portland State University Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to confer upon you the respective degrees of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education. Will all of you, together with your advisors, come forward to be recognized?
PhD in Computer Science, Ki Young An, hooded by Professor James Hook. PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering, Shirishna Koturi, hooded by Dr. Kelly Clifton. PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering, Alexander Bigazi, hooded by Dr. Kelly Clifton. PhD in Electrical and Computer Engineering, Lynn Tran, hooded by Dr. Marek Bukowski. PhD in Computer Science, Kai Kong, hooded by Professor Fei Shi. PhD in Computer Science, Li Lei, hooded by Professor Fei Shi. PhD in Electrical and Computer Engineering, James Gladish, hooded by Dr. Donald Duncan. Doctorate in Education, Donna Webb, hooded by Professor Danelle Stevens. PhD in Health Systems and Policy, Carl Foreman, hooded by Professor Neil Wallace. PhD in Urban Studies, Jacqueline Cajon, hooded by Dr. Charles Hying. PhD in Urban Studies and Planning, Mercia McLaren, hooded by Professor Lauren Lutzenmeiser.
Now will the candidates for the master's degrees please rise and remain standing. President Vivell, I recommend to you the candidates for the master's degrees in the fields offered at Portland State University.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and with the authority vested in me by the Portland State University Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to confer upon you the respective master's degrees that you've earned at Portland State University. Congratulations to each of you. When you come forward with your faculty marshal, you will be introduced and greeted.
The Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science.
College of the Arts, School of Architecture.
Chris Amwa Kusi.
Vanessa Vanderhoof.
Nathan Boten.
Kelsey Colvin.
Nilufar Shakakardze.
Nada Mani.
Madi Farhani.
Lee Chong.
Chung Win So.
Eric Stearns.
Shal Dong.
School of Business Administration.
Crystal.
School of Business Administration.
Crystal
Okay.
Roberts.
Garina Gautam.
Dasan Green.
Marjan Bajeri.
Robert Fizzer.
Elise Taylor.
Caleb Matheson.
James Jason Schmidt.
Oleg Fedichenko.
Ding Yang.
Mahmoud. Abdul Karim Aseninan.
Graduate School of Education.
Ahmed Tayyib Abdi.
Nicholas Running. To me.
Tao Ho.
Brian Funatanki.
Karin Zogeb.
Andre Dodge.
Cameron Reek.
Helen Marie Johnson.
Amarutha Dusha.
Courtney Bird.
Ali Al-Sulaiman.
Catherine Martin.
Abdullah Al-Badan.
Courtney Enkenkamp.
David Tucker.
Derek Allen Moyer.
Hamid Ogeli.
It's not the graduate school.
Maysoon Hamid.
Sarah Deanne Wade.
Yasir Sayed.
Sherry K. Christie Smith.
Haider El-Kafaji.
Connie Christie Knight.
Karar Alalani.
Theodore Baskerville.
Salam Al-Obedi.
Alexis Shawnee Palicious Cabrera.
Muhammad El-Morib.
Carol Guo.
Fadeh Buta.
Vanessa Valdez.
Jihad Shahat.
Aisha Shamsudan.
Yasir Ali Alamari.
Blake Andrew Red Elk.
Abdulaziz Al-Heja.
Nicole Marie Harris.
Tegus Krishnanaswamy.
Rosie Labra.
Ashwin Vijayakatumarara.
Ginger Huzar.
Larry Thum.
Deanne Moats Stevens.
Harry Thum.
Si Ying Yao.
Anjun Vinkut Anirudh Baretupode.
Jerry Whitson.
Jonathan Louis.
Kristen Ventura.
Melinda Pizarro.
Melissa Strasser.
Yoongjun Lee.
Lauren Pratz.
Yen Tran.
Ashley Medock.
George Weiss.
Velma Green.
Fukan Yildirim,
Maria Paola Balcamet,
Montika Kumunga,
Myra Villalobos,
Sudarat Pucharat,
Caitlin Sunderland,
Aperna Balusubramanian,
Shulani Carol Burns Allen,
Xenia Bulos,
Rebecca Free,
Sheti Shah,
Mike Friel,
Momtaj Kanan,
Gina Olson,
Fatima Adenwala,
Floricel Negrete,
Govardani Epuantniti,
Connie Cran,
Shahavani Narala,
Michael Theophilus,
Tiyasha Sinha,
Kate Hagner,
Yogita Chaudhary,
Adina Wilson,
Apura Lunkar,
Angela Fouquet,
Shamali Sahasrabhajani,
Erika Jason Chiwa Sabino,
Niti Verma,
College of Urban and Public Affairs, Craig Shin,
Priyankan Hanwate,
Executive Master in Public Administration, Terrence Blouser,
Mark Smith,
Odessa Riley,
Aditya Yoshi,
Diana Lee,
Raviraj Kohli,
Sean Ingstrom,
Samir Gawari,
David Lynn,
Sankit Bohadra,
Eric Skinner,
Vedang Vaida,
Adam Baylor,
Tejust Kulkarni,
Danielle Brown,
Nikita Tewari,
Erica Hedberg,
Runmei Lemei,
Megan Turvey,
Anunja Vidya,
Heather Cole,
Ashke Shah,
Nathan Vogt,
Sanjay Sharma,
Veronica Ochia,
Mayur Sanjay Dasaja,
Preeta Ponicheri Ravanda Nath,
Nishant Saskena,
Becky Wilson,
Saiswati Puraja,
Emily Bastachi,
Sailataj Vakalanat,
Afsana Hussain,
Rohit Kulkarni,
Prasanthi Kuvethi,
Satya Nanda,
Letsogile Muponnawane,
Matthew Downey,
Candice Lewis Leitmark,
Catherine Burns,
Dennis Blue,
Sina Videwa,
Leah Beckwith, Christine,
Aman Woltinsei,
Christine Corrales,
Anupa Abdul Rahami,
Leslie Humphrey,
Vasha Radhakrishnan,
Alexis Kelso,
Aparna Chandrasekhar,
Timothy Wood,
Shoma Sudhir Rai,
Paola Saljanya,
Akshata Hosmat, Shaimasri Biswas, Supriya Pandey, Priya Pakukalnu, Jean Betsy Nelson,
Jay Shen,
Anusha Vivek,
Yu Yang,
Shindu Pandidam,
Rathe Shaam Adivishunu,
Shasmeta Sashi,
Vainil Kumar Reddy Gutha.
Ankit Nedo.
Viyahas Ganamal Neni.
Tanaji Rad Takalapeli.
Mani Shanke Produturi.
Rashmi Shanatharam Nandikur.
Vijay Kumar.
Madhura Kulkarni.
Prakash Viraja.
Moheni Narkede.
Sandeep Shaharan.
Visha Jan.
Madan Gopal Reddy Manda.
Karthik Kalkure.
Sri Kavarith Adavadi.
Manjit Singh Bhattayat.
Kandala Rad Kotu.
Arun Kumar Arunoganu.
Prasanath Manikach Sagam.
Gayatri Narendra Babo.
Sharath Vijay Raghuva.
Suresh Krishna Saga.
Rupesh Shashuvapa.
Nikesh Jagavala.
Ukashu Kotian.
Pramad Kumar Kakireni.
Mohith Nuthraj.
Rakesh Varma Pinmatsa.
Priyanka Shuresh.
Rohit Varma Guntur.
Keshohi Gopimath.
Nitin Morpatli.
Ramya Aithi Rajulu.
Gotan Reddy Mantur.
Uthra Dahari Shan Uskath Dharan.
Nitin Vadav.
Rufeha Gajula.
Srimarsha.
Madhu Mohan Jina.
Shri Atya Adiracho.
Preeti Murala.
Lavanya Aderaji.
Gutham Kudipudi.
Eshwan Kaknoji.
Gayatri Kamela.
Vijay Areputaraj.
Navyasri Mandalupa.
Mohammed Raziuddin.
Arun Kololala.
Tidrus V.
Alexander Blan.
Munju Kumar.
Teen Lee.
Wajid Ali Mohammed Ali. Niruj Kumar. Benjamin Hedrick. Stephen Smithson. Stevens. Todd Young. Natalie Ehrlich. Sapida Kajera. Brooke Harmon. Nita Linga. Alex Bowman. Hal Cooper. Christopher Motti. Sri Ramya Bandaru.
Masters in Social Work. Deborah Gale Bailey. Alina Ilinsky. Fayan Johnson. Suzanne Gilliland Williams. Regina Cunningham.
Congratulations to all those graduates. So now, will all the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees and certificates rise and remain standing. President Vivell, I present to you the candidates for baccalaureate degrees and the candidates for certificates in the fields offered at Portland State University. I recommend to you the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science, and candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Music, and candidates for certificates.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and with the authority vested in me by the Portland State University Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to confer upon you the respective baccalaureate degrees and certificates which you have earned at Portland State University. Congratulations to each of you. You may be seated. Will the faculty marshals now lead the baccalaureate candidates forward to be introduced and greeted by their dean? All right, free to play for a while. You don't have to pay attention for the next 45 minutes.
Ruben Reyes.
Raylene McMillan.
Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science, Civil and Environmental Engineering. Kim Lan Nguyen.
Graduate School of Education.
Duke Lee. Tao An Nguyen.
Maria Guadalupe Valencia O'Connor.
Shuran Dai.
Ksenia Afanin Avji.
Suzanne Tyler.
Alta Haddad.
Brian Sloney.
Hugo Johnson.
Jennifer Longmore.
Emilia Baidala.
Courtney Elliott.
Emily Hopes.
Ryan Virgin.
Haiti Nelke.
Spencer Kachel.
Aisha Al-Kunji.
Kyle Mullin.
Tara Yusuf.
Timothy Hartman.
Lulwa Al-Bakari.
Danielle Blaine Peters.
Ashwak Al-Khalil.
Taylor Lynch.
Cameron Davis.
Sarah Van Glooft.
Joseph Wilson.
Candice Carlson.
Christopher Govert.
Guinevere Shaw.
Michael Leonard Goulart.
Molly Oram.
Benjamin Rorick.
Daniel Wright.
Nicholas Scott Mobley.
Daniel Jenkins.
Alejandro Bonzo.
Sean Moriarty.
Miles Bernadette Peters.
Travis Laney.
Eli Gerfinkel.
Ahmad Zia.
Colin Kiner.
Bianca Villanueva.
Ryan Shook.
Stuart Smith.
Brandon Stevens.
Jonathan David Morris.
Chris Wees.
Peter Grumshevensky.
Chase Ashley.
Daniel Lang.
Colin Christensen.
Sergei Balurinsky.
Woodrow Merkel.
Randy Harrington.
Jennifer Remorin.
Robert Kosofsky.
Lee Her.
We're kind of wanting you to
Joshua Amundsen.
You're not being heard.
Yasmin Azad Aga.
Eric Allen.
Christina Emad Aziz.
Jacob Oren Bradley.
Mansour Miriani.
Antoni Kliema.
Adrian Boylant.
Marissa Trujillo de Mull.
Ala Leisure.
Lisa Ann Casey.
Nikita Kumar.
Melinda Benko.
Jesse Vargo.
Zachary McLaughlin.
Angela Van Duzen.
Jennifer Parks.
Rafia Emran.
Erica Salgado.
Marie Zaldaryaga.
Claudia Estrada.
Luke Purcell.
Austin Wellborn.
Tina Taeb.
Sean Wilson.
Ashley Schaefer.
Tyler Korb.
Joan Meyer.
Jonathan Nasir.
Alejandra Zamudio.
John Edwards.
Michael Nguyen.
Abdul Aziz Al-Wajeri.
Mihad Al-Kathana.
Ibrahima Bari.
Fidur Al-Tamimi.
Aziz Al-Misned.
Heather Lee Winkleman.
Abdul Aziz Almenia.
Jean du Sablon.
Faisal Al-Bamsam.
Yasu Fujikawa.
Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science, Computer Science.
Anne Gardner.
Ardashir Java Hershey.
Andrew Garcia.
Erin Whipple.
Libby Laborvo.
Richard Lewis.
Emma Chester.
Clayton Ward.
Melinda Rukavina.
Peter Gicking.
Alesha Dirksey.
Harmanpreet Singh.
Rudy Rolon Rivas.
Elijah Varga.
Patrick Ryan Collard.
David Cobley.
Akira Koenig.
Ankur Gupta.
Charles Thomas.
Robert Werfelman.
Lucas Cervera.
William Hopper.
Julia Kramer.
Nassim Sanati.
Maria Fernanda Ramirez.
Sean DeBellis.
Skylar Wells.
Michael Nishida.
Shuris Moa.
Joel Cranston.
Ashley Cisneros.
Robin Murray.
Christina White.
John Donahue.
Madeline Okrent.
Casey Bowman.
Kaylin Green.
Trevor Tiernan.
Richard O'Meara.
Casey English.
Amanda Sonju.
Kyle Galbraith.
Ali Painter.
Emerald Lorente.
Karina Bunn.
Tyler Poole.
Gabby Tirta Jenkins.
Scott Anacito.
Jason Hatterley.
Patrick Leonard.
Trisha Hips.
Lou Seichow.
Heather Reeder.
Daniel Jordan.
Conrad Crespin.
Zachary Pryor.
Amy Summers.
Min Fan.
Sierra Randolph.
Eric Olson.
Danielle Ramsby.
Brady St. John.
Gordo Ramsby.
Andrew Erland.
Allison Bear.
Shuping Chu.
Suzuka Natsuhara.
Kai Zhang.
Vanessa Despain.
Sean Mahan.
Alex Despain.
Justin Shook.
Gregor Holtzman.
Ian Aldrughetti.
Maggie Irwin.
Garrison Jensen.
Enrico Macias Cepeda.
Daniel Wilson.
Eric Berglund.
Zainab Alatar.
Jesse Wig.
Ryan Bernstein.
Kyle Zadina.
Levi Schoen.
Corey Bade.
Brady Sullivan.
Jessica Hewitt.
David Opp.
Jessica Lyons.
Nick Lampkins.
Brianna Romancier.
Bachelor of Science, Massey College of Computer Science and Engineering, Computer Engineering.
Jeremy Won.
Michael Walton.
Christine Waldrop.
Omaima Hussein Mohammed.
Marie Connor.
Mong Lei.
Michelle Wood.
Evan Sprecher.
Chelsea Wallery.
Tu Trong.
Chelsea Smith.
Deborah Denhart.
Catherine Holtz.
Carmen Chiobanu.
Christina Boone.
Jeremiah Frankie.
Benjamin Kim.
J. Stephen Pierce III.
Janine Vung.
Greg Strohmeyer.
Sarah Cadwell.
Scott Lawson.
Amy Little.
Nathan Becker.
Alyssa Moore.
Hai Dang.
Paul Rosales.
Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science.
Lila.
Electrical Engineering.
Lila Tedla.
Jeremiah Scott.
College of the Arts, School of Music.
Nicholas Lynch Johnley.
Victoria Tereshenko.
Daniel Frister.
William Chow.
Ryan O'Connor.
Chaun Su.
Ali Alavi.
Alexandra Sizowitz.
Shravan Kumar Dusashrinath.
Susie Maurer.
Mike Brainerd.
Rebecca Wright.
Ivan Preciado.
Brandon Hitu.
Robert Newcomb.
Samantha Hughes.
Jennifer Carr.
Jonathan Wegner.
Austin McGlone.
Brian Quinn.
Corey Heisterkamp.
Alexandra Carnutha.
Christopher Kluppinger.
Adrian Leigh Everingham.
Pedro Xavier Munoz Constantine.
Emily Skeen.
Ahmed Kuzi.
Haley Maddox.
Fu Wen.
Anthony Wynn.
Harold Lopez.
College of the Arts, School of Theatre and Film.
Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science, Mechanical and Materials Engineering.
Dylan King.
Timothy Robertson Hamlin.
Basil Schwartzfager.
Brandon Sortout.
Matthew Miller.
Matthew Bell.
Danny Ransom.
Ian Kirkland.
Michael Hole.
Andrew Eads.
Jamie Gantz.
Brian Happ.
Josie Solari.
Alan Racia.
Connor Jones.
David Pryor.
Keaton Susky.
Jessica Lindsay.
Isaac Lewin.
Melanie Ferguson.
Austin McKee.
Jeffrey Morell.
Britton Washington.
Osman Kuchuk.
Jeffrey Janoff.
Natalie Sherwood.
Jamila Nas.
Hegad David Musafiri Mimo.
Tasha Jacobs.
Joel Joyner.
Gabrielle Terney.
Hui Tran.
Sarah Garland.
Lee Han.
Stephen Kank.
Jimmy Egg-Iman.
Tess Anderson.
Warren Musang Siri.
Emily Kraft.
Nicholas Fo.
Kuro Shamin.
Hon Lee.
Genevieve Larson.
Terry Rigdon.
Melina Frischberg.
Nick Brenninger.
Bethany Kraft.
Alicia Strickland.
Joanne Light.
Adrian Lassen.
Margaret Torres.
Brandon Navas.
Elena Afnasiev.
Michael Aguilar.
Megan Edwards.
Greg Laughlin.
Alexis Quant.
Benjamin Franklin Butler.
Gavin Burgess.
Jason Schrader.
School of Business Administration, Accounting.
Dylan Stevens.
Amanda Estrada.
Nevin Scott.
Cynthia Russell.
Jean Baump.
Thomas Milton.
Adam Kiss.
Zach Eberhardt.
Pavel Zlatov.
Joshua Steele.
Weston Hankey.
Alfonso Jerome Simpson.
Justin Woodard.
Claire McLeod.
Aaron Morrison.
Christopher Smith.
Casey Freeman.
Shane Bennett.
Jack O'Neill.
Shanayla Williams.
Daniel Norris.
Anna Marie Handgard.
Emilio Molina Reyes.
Clifford Story.
Catherine Flemington.
Maria Timbalist.
Nicholas Jacob.
Stephen Loudermilk.
Ian Rizzio.
Eric Strandholm.
Lucas Blancord.
Lee Se Chow.
Adam Buckles.
Nicholas Moreno.
School of Social Work, BSW, and CFS. Ana Patalan.
Junie Ma.
Finette Asiencio.
Danielle Saunders.
Zulay Hudukovich.
Hanan Bathab.
Maveo Monvoy Mota.
Nora Diaz Spinoza.
Betsy Suarez.
Eurico Solis.
Stephen Bridges.
Marco Benoist.
Rebecca Mayer.
Dorothea Toder.
Ryan Guadzil.
Tu Train.
Inyong Hong.
Yangsi O.
Maria Bartolome.
Dominic St. Marie.
Jumamio.
Yusuf,
Eve Jumamio Lopez. Sorry.
Yusuf Sarah.
Arturo Hernandez.
Derek Dingman.
Rukia Mohammed.
Megan Jewell.
Ann Coleman.
Colin Sutherland.
Jorge Huardo.
Irina Takachu.
Anelela Mendoza.
Rachel Ross.
Juliet Walkuluk.
Susan Manalore.
Jay-Z Smith.
Shane Wilson.
Andrea Wufana.
Ivy Doe.
Brianna C. Bragg.
Tam Cow.
Dorit Hava Skidmore.
V. No.
Sunny Shusin Guo.
Truk Tron.
Stephanie Osborne.
Mintron.
Nicole Dickinson.
Michelle Mercer.
Haitrong Shen.
Alexandra Gibson.
Minori Taya.
Kathleen Petty.
Michelle Roland.
Alma Menchaca.
Jennifer Maple Lowe.
Jeffrette Mandango.
Arle Esther Lopez Lopez.
Matthew Hormalik. Yeah.
Isabel Ortiz.
Jessica Hoffman.
Guadalupe Margarita Hernandez.
Amber Schultz.
Leslie Henderson.
Chelsea Lambert.
Alyssa Scruggs.
Ruslan Takach.
Amanda Elmer.
Sharon Byrne.
Ashley Cornett.
Elizabeth Bassett.
Tiffany Brungart.
Carl Bondi.
College of Urban and Public Affairs, School of Urban Studies and Planning, Community Develop, undergraduate students.
Granite Hoja.
Andrew Lauder.
Rahman Hoja.
Mohammed Al-Qadi.
Kusum Kusum.
Chase Johnson.
Gina Vang.
Jason Rautenkrantz.
Jolie Anon.
Dylan Reed Perry.
Kismet Kilborn.
Donna Lewis.
Alexandra Fan.
Elizabeth Kara.
Shujin Quay.
Heather Doyle.
Nicole Wajing Chung.
Hallie Will.
Michael Carolyn Ferry.
Alex Cartrufello.
Pete Benharono.
Maria Cristina Abad.
Malia Anderson.
Jessica Zamudeo.
Mackenzie Smith.
Emily Langston.
Jamie Brasseur.
Susan Mina Eslami.
Corey Baker.
Christine Junes.
Calvin Mai.
Janice. Christine Janice.
Junki Lee.
Marie Chin. Chu. Marie Chu. Sorry.
Hein Pham.
Emily Carey.
Yulan Chong.
Brooke Ray Edens.
Tiffany Tram.
Adi Rose Lass.
Fahad Alabduhadi.
Wayne Bradley.
Fahad Bakwa.
Elvin Ramirez.
Fali Kisalam Asrez.
Christian Harvey.
Michael Derry.
Dina Kamarud.
T. Tui Nguyen Mead.
College of Urban and Public Affairs, School of Government, Criminology, and Criminal Justice, undergraduate students. Caitlin Kolba.
Tron Nguyen.
Akuja Lila. Akuja Lila.
Sagutala McCaffery.
Francine Musafiki.
C. Chen.
Renee Houghton.
Kelsey Henningson.
Crystal Gutierrez.
Diego Enrique Ponce.
Carolyn Haney.
Dylan Grimes.
Julissa Pineda.
Marquet Kiesling Oatman.
Heather O'Malley.
Francesco John Guilano. Guadalupe Pilayu.
Nadia Martinez.
School of Business Administration Advertising.
Diana Hung.
Chad Thies.
Mackenzie Bates.
Cameron Fifield.
Ashley Mendoza.
Mohammed Allah Hani.
Karen Unanya.
Kylie Fordham.
JC Elliott.
David Lewis Maximilian Driscoll.
Savannah Martin.
Stephanie Chapman.
Haley Swanson.
Elise Pecha.
Jennifer Michelle Rodriguez Waldron.
Brittany Bennett.
Ashley Hamilton.
Madeline Ford.
Tanya Quigley Steele.
Lacey Link.
Jill McIntosh.
Zach Roticini.
Nicole Wooldridge.
Camille Leon Ross.
Rennie Rodriguez.
Landrew Parker.
Andrea Herrera.
Quinn Nguyen.
Christina Ray.
Sada Chandra Von Sri.
Leah Graff.
Allison Burkett.
Michelle Fitch.
Katria Litona Herskog.
Dallas Smith.
Michael Abramson.
Scott Douglas.
Benjamin Patrisar.
Tyler Mitchell.
Amanda Fabriski.
Rebecca Maples.
Stephanie Van Heck.
Alexander Green.
Anissa Fulbright.
Brandon Green.
Andrea Papoff.
Camelia Kanso.
Natalia Bolahan.
Michael Holmgren.
Devin Danger Barnes.
Marvin Espinoza Gaxelola.
Natasha Rasmussen.
Bianca Giorgio.
David LaValle.
Kyle Shalekny.
Maria Schneider.
Eric Schaefer.
Von Vo.
James Selmala.
Lynn Lee.
Benjamin Ott.
Eric Hughes.
Kevin Godwin.
Michael Goswick.
Sydney Wheeler.
Peter Holloman.
Richard Ramirez.
Sherman Philip Bogard III.
Deanna Tony.
Preston Covey.
Elmira Shakriani.
Pui Lam Chow.
Brett Reed.
Leah Kirkwood.
Florina Pacala.
Ryan Harper.
Veronica Montoya Santana.
School of Business Administration. James Sylvia.
Matilda Jakob.
Alexander Harrington.
Eric Olson.
Tanner Pruitt.
Vishek Usov.
Aaron Fish.
Paul Mongold.
Travis Woodard.
Michael Pace.
Shauna Ottaway Jefferson.
Justin Gognan.
Joshua Rubin.
Hayden.
Miniweather.
Hayden Kaiser.
Ashley Fardonish.
Isaac Comtro.
Wagma Radim.
Brittany Oblit.
Yasmin Abukatr.
Kaylee Postel.
Richard Sarini.
Jessica Lee Intrieri.
Nina Stolar.
J. Page Calderon.
Ricky Varastegji.
Jessica Fessler.
Valerie Fejo.
Zachary Preston.
Leila Amir Hekmat.
Ryan Byers.
Val Panov.
Brian Atley.
Jeremy Vasquez.
Gary Dean Nelson.
Jed Quintano.
Anuar Lopez Sanchez.
Tim Du.
Reese Glasscock.
Anthony Lee.
Lacey Wumbalaba. Sorry.
Daniel Ritchie Medina.
Nicole Bailey.
Ken Chen.
Donald Boone.
Alika Kelly.
Kevin Carlson.
Kylie Groff.
Colton Hale.
Sean Steele.
Mariona Gates.
Nathan Kaler.
Desiree Lynn Semeno.
Matthew Moore.
Eric Simon.
Mary Jo Kitten Ring.
Francesco Ibarra.
Nathan Rodas.
Felicia Hernandez.
Gautam Kothapali.
Brigitte Funes.
Michael Moore.
Jeannie Pham.
David Zazian.
Eric Ese Ordea.
Martha Flores Vega. Lana Mani.
Aaron Baeza.
Alexander To.
David Julian.
Julian Fan.
Melissa Tepp.
Shala Meman.
Brandon Safin.
Alfredo Jimenez Jr.
Maidwen Pham.
Enrique Sandoval.
Jose Vergara.
Sammy Emamio.
Chelsea Mayfield.
Manolo Lopez.
Mara Chavez Villa.
Faisal Ahmad.
Andrea Yuseos.
Saud Al-Bugami.
Lucas Daniel Urebe.
Andrew Walsh.
Ero Kilian Eter.
Tinshitik Eshembiev.
Jing Wu.
Chuang Nguyen.
Matt Wolf.
Than Chu.
Christina Coursey.
Tarek bin Mahfouz.
John Kokur.
Abidulaziz Al-Mohansen.
Kim Luan Win.
Mitchell Cameron.
Ben Clifford.
Johanna Broderick.
Talena Eboba.
Lorenzo Mesa.
Allison Suunoga.
Kirk Har.
Cassandra J. Thompson.
Kevin Nguyen.
Colleen McNamara Jackson.
Nikhil Chand.
Leslie Jean Todd.
Jason True.
Brianna Bristow.
Ashley Fott.
Courtney Sleeper.
Justin Wade.
Julia Rogel.
Yulia Yuziko.
Amy Nissel.
Kyuzu. Tu.
Amanda Lynn Munde.
Beng Wu.
Sarah Ashley Christie.
Shi Yu.
Christine Ripley.
Yang Yi. Chang Yi.
Taylor Marie Bodenlois.
Su Wei.
Michael Ann McCann.
Jackie Wang.
Nasir Saranilla.
King Sheng.
Kristen Vieira Kubica.
Xianghui Xiao.
Erica Gerke.
Lam Tran.
Stephanie Tarko.
Lila Bruce.
Kirian Ismail.
Brian Cheney.
Crystal Rico.
Lindsay Siton.
Jillian Warner.
Keneli.
Alec Marks.
Colton DeFord.
Maikita Marion.
Ian McLeod.
Joanne Mullen.
Ben Summerfield.
Winta Mebarutu.
Wayne Miswich.
Amelwak Alemu.
Todd Russell.
Nicholas Fernandez.
School of Business Administration, Human Resource Management.
College of Urban and Public Affairs, School of Community Health, Health Studies.
Elizabeth Zapayin.
Leanne Hotia.
Courtney Balazic.
Hannah Demotz.
Malia Stalker.
Kathleen O'Brien.
Anupriya Singh.
Corey Crowder.
Brooke Conrad.
Joseph Lopez.
Yahura the Princess Dib.
Brittany Hendrickson.
Ashley Newman.
Michaela Rivard.
Robert Berger.
Ariana Cooley.
Alexandra Minili.
Jesse Zapata.
Cindy Bowling.
Ashley Breen.
Zachary Ridd.
Maggie Hayworth.
Casey Redman.
Ashley Hill.
Kimberly Ogden.
Jacqueline Fororis.
Alyssa Fava.
Octavia Clark.
Brenda Hoff.
Adina Herdnison.
Emily Merle.
Kira Muller Yamamoto.
Mercedes Matt.
Chun Hong Shi.
George Enzi.
Elizabeth Tiffany Prescott.
Han Nguyen.
Charlie Arellano,
Kentaro Yamamoto,
Darren Hakoba,
Marina Blosser,
Kellen Hashimoto,
Patricia K. Lee,
Airu Lorpiton,
Faraj Al-Hamad,
Kaila C,
Rashid Al-Kafala,
Tanya Ciara de la Cruz,
Ahmed bin Ali,
Janelle Corpuz,
Nasser Ahmad,
Bambridge
Fakro.
Lin,
Andrea Wang,
Hirofumi Saito,
Abdullah Al-Shibani,
Selena Tamituarez,
Rebecca Harris,
Fipe Havehu,
Brett Spear,
Lee Moa,
Jorge Barangdan Jr.,
Jasmine Meletia,
Puha Shah,
Lucian Darrensburg,
Melissa Tierney,
Ashley Hurtado,
Oscar Rico Cazares,
Marcy Sakamoto Mayo,
Mary Rojas,
Courtney Allison Nisef,
Barbara Schooler,
Stephen Lopez,
Ashley White,
Aliani Gonzalez,
Brianne Thomas,
Maren Hughes,
Joseph Stewart,
Melissa Cesar,
Chuck La Chica,
Abigail Mucias,
Benjamin Lyons,
Ave Delorne Manavi,
Alyssa Staples,
Alison Netil,
Jacob Glender,
Fat Tran,
Emily Weed Amin,
Brock Christensen,
Tyson Davis,
Yaroslav Durashpek,
Susie Gamero,
Adam Guffey,
Ashley Danielson,
J.D. Newby,
Julian Jane Ricotti,
Cassandra Jimenez,
Bigal Jasmine Njaragal,
Hoden Jama,
Emily Hannum,
Alicia Stonelake,
Ashley Duncan,
Dakota McMillan,
Caitlin Barrer,
Natalie Tudораsh,
Alyssa Richmond,
Haley Milks,
Sarah Melly,
Danielle Alcasam,
Anna Libinchenko,
Sergio Teles Santaella,
Hilberto Alia,
Raven Rachel Harris Susu Mago,
Chris Anderson,
Chloe Fasendra,
Angela Dunn,
Molly Ann Bauer,
Cynthia Wick,
Bailey Beckwith,
Laura Lewis,
Rachel Widening,
Joanne Rabuski,
Hannah Rada,
Floriberta Martinez Mendez,
Iman Rada,
Jimglung Sun,
Allison Casey,
William Navarro,
Adrian Manalan,
Johnny Zen,
Thomas Dog,
School of Business Administration Management,
Benedict Adina,
Anwar Al-Mashni,
V. Lee,
Rehane Gozal,
Anthony Bravo,
Misty Slayer,
Jeremy Posadas,
Tim Halvashek,
Brittany Cobb,
Angie Lee,
Anne-Marie Estand,
Ahmad Albul,
Jasmine Gruenstein,
Nicholas McCarty,
Caitlin McCarban,
Mandy Lowe,
Melinda Joy Roberts,
Abre Gutierrez,
Jasmine Ratcliffe,
Alexandria Hankins,
Alicia Farfan,
Katie Marie Deerdorf,
Olga Gulubenko,
Gloria Yang,
Kyle Fung,
Donald B. Dowling,
Chelsea Bowen,
Patrick Howard Callahan,
Danielle Courtwright,
Mark Hunter,
Haneen Mohammed Ali,
Gabe de Bay Flores,
Jenna Harris,
Taylor Coakley,
Rebecca Nicole Lunt,
Kelsey Angus,
Megan McCarthy,
Big JJ aka Johnny Parsons Jr.,
Melody Bianchini,
Chester Daniel Allen,
Marina Rulemski,
Sarah McAdams,
Tony Kiffin,
Jonathan Logie,
Phoebe Van Buren,
Karen Ponto,
Emily Callender,
Vincent Casalnova,
Latiana Gibson,
Dylan Slayton,
Elizabeth Montan,
Kendra Emra,
Lizette Rivera,
Mary Dahlia,
Brian Short,
Danny Burns,
Kindra Mills,
Mahed Al-Kulaf Ifi,
and Holly Cannon,
Ibrahim Al-Ramahi,
Josie Ringelberg,
Corey Elliott,
Haven Wheelcock,
Nicholas Bigelow,
Ryan Bradshaw,
Rehan Hojazadi,
Susan Vaughn,
Antran,
Stephanie Glickman,
Suwanko Verikiti,
Anna Green,
Adam Luvere,
Amanda Bauer,
Umakari Abdullahi,
Mahalika Shihun Del Rosio,
Sid Ali Abdullahi,
Emily Aronson,
Trevor Merrill,
Victoria Perekorenko,
Paulina Mublit,
Andrea Vick,
Sarah Fisher,
Della Sumali,
John Cronice,
Rebecca Watkins,
Khalid Almu Haiblib,
Audrea Condit,
Jarrett Hergert,
Nicole Collison,
Arol F. Estanis,
Antonia Sella Rengel Carril,
Nicholas Roberti,
Josephine Marotto,
Ethan Knudsen,
Sophia Van Middlesworth,
Margaret Rains,
Maura Lynch,
School of Business Administration, Marketing,
Alicia Lovings,
Hannah Belair,
Roya Afghan,
Gabrielle Dunifin,
Timindra Zimmerman,
Holland Valandaham,
Casey Zumago,
Jacob Antonio Castro,
Stephanie Moore,
Richard Swanson,
Jordan Brower,
Bryce Kropp,
Brady Ahern,
William David Gambill,
April Dye,
Joseph Anthony Hamilton,
Robin Davis,
Ebital Almarzor,
Christopher Jensen,
Eric Croswell,
Jake Reynolds,
Ashley Michaela Strom,
Kamisha Rose Manley,
Evelyn Harradine,
Stella Lillian Cooley,
Donald Berkeley,
Megan Austin,
Trong Trin,
Christopher John Luke Ibarra,
Roxanne Barton,
Taylor Larson,
Emily Ryan,
Pamela Hope,
Valerie Robbins,
Catherine Cox,
Kazra Nikzad,
Karina Guzman,
Levi Moharik,
Yesenia Siva Hernandez,
Alan Shapiro,
Soledad Hernandez,
Tammy Louie,
Delfina Hernandez,
Kwana Paulichiti,
Beatriz Adriana Manzo Hernandez,
Jame Valencia,
Yadira Garcia,
James Kwok Pham,
Sarah Robinson,
Brandon Snapchat Harvey,
Teresa Collins,
Chelsea Zim Rogers,
Ciara De La Cruz,
Christina Welch Moreno,
Celeste Williams,
Joel Cameron Buckle,
Knockbik Tran,
Ryan McAusland,
Sally Mueller,
Matthew Fox,
Vanessa Encina,
Ivan Martini,
Danielle Mays,
Zach Pazold,
Adrian Farrell,
Austin Anderson,
Rose Fluati,
Taryn Scherer.
Kathy Wynn.
Shema Taha.
Maxine Bonmi.
Gabriel Jenks.
Julia Wynn.
Cody Hakala.
Alyssa Lee.
Natalia Mayeski.
Michelle Perea.
Noel Hayes.
Zaro Abkuta.
Hingaji Kwa.
Deanna Colson.
David Mapes de Sinclair.
Bonnie Lipai.
Andrew Hickman.
Lisa Anne Marie Bauman.
Mike Nowak.
Gregory Wadsworth.
Jamie Nordby.
Abdi Hamid.
Robert Margolin.
Ashley Monfared.
James Lee.
Audrey Wimmer.
Mackenzie Miller.
Kelly Campbell.
Daniel Hazard.
Madeline Stoll.
Rachel Robney.
Samira Safiri.
Megan Wise.
Swati Goiz.
Ayman Khalifa.
Cecilia Fai Raid.
Sean Manley.
Sarah Cowell.
Donna Trong.
Christopher Bouchot.
Melissa Bermudez.
Rosalia Juarez.
Ramaya Reddy.
Humidia Ahmed.
Carrie Nelson.
Leila Omar Ali.
Julian Sarali.
Anisa Ahmed.
Chase Hanneman.
Bethany Flugum.
Rashika Nalama.
Michelle Kerrigan.
Rachel Manalor.
Joel King.
Sarah Bradshaw.
Corey Hatley.
Melanie Ramos.
Lisa Kane.
Jeffrey Dean.
Tara Blakely.
Alyssa Johanna Marfil.
Lee Daly.
Sean Christine Bay.
Natalie Chappell.
Travius Shanklin.
Ariel Cachero.
AJ Oshoa.
Erin Young.
Leo His Rose.
College of Urban and Public Affairs, School of Government, Political Science.
Na Luong.
Nicholas Heckert.
Izora Lim.
Brian Gordon.
Yusuf Alazan.
Sierra Kukus Myrick.
School of Business Administration, Supply and Logistics Management.
Nicholas Westbrook.
Kyle Kern.
Greg Smith.
Ryan Kern.
Corey Tony.
Tiffany Welch.
Hugo Gonzalez Venegas.
Buck Buckmaster.
Jennifer Anderson.
Jennifer Ha.
Travis Anson.
Jared O'Hagan.
Shalene Ellett.
Christopher Watzig.
Brianna Haley.
Matthew Lee.
Dee Wang.
Christopher Hafner.
Laurie Rodriguez.
Garrett Guido.
Carlos Sanchez Vasquez.
Matthew Bram.
Joanne Allen.
Tremaine Phillips.
Anna Snook.
Isaac Rose.
Jacqueline Altamirano Marin.
Frank Chan.
William Vaughn.
Kirk Chapman.
Rashid Al-Hajiri.
Josh Clore.
Brandon Tobias.
Lawa Abdul Jabbar.
Ross Herring.
Keiko Shao.
Jose Rojas.
Yulia Nakolina.
Catherine Burns.
Austin Welch.
Stephen Kurskava.
Emmanuel Amunga.
Elliot Kent Woodrich.
Jaehong Kim.
Brian McNerlin.
Sumner Eastman.
Keenan Weir.
John Nice.
Audria Perkins.
Nicholas Wynn.
Delaney Lowry.
Nu Wynn.
Titi Ngo.
Bao Tai.
Janet Holland.
Ian Galloway.
Jeffrey Kidd.
Ashley Nicole Fwitson.
Ukia Hawkins.
Kaylee Hettinger.
Maria Veronica Galeva.
Victoria Geisler.
Eric Knoll.
Ryan Janik.
Joanna Rojas.
Vincent Mariziano.
Alicia Aguirre Reyes.
Candace Longstreet.
Shivani Sharma.
Daniela Tronsko Paraguay.
Ali Ford.
Jessica Franks.
Alison McCoppin.
Natalia Ovens Young.
Jacob Paschke.
Hanak Razom.
Tyler George.
Angel Gonzalez. Jason Golden Donut Chan. Sanish Sharma. Majed Hamaji. Marianne Tawney. Anna Mae Kamado. Mohammed Al-Nafjan. Rekan Aladali. Abdullah Rahman Al-Jamani. Khalid Al-Nafi. Musa Al-Quantan. Abdullah Amali. Gilbert Wynn. Joseph Okochennikov. Dave Gillis. Chen Fan. Adam Gujabi. Mohammed Al-Azhar. Jeffrey Merritt.
Will the Master and Baccalaureate candidates please rise? At this time, you may change your tassel from the right to the left side. Congratulations to all of you. Please be seated. In keeping with the tradition of the graduation ceremony, we will follow the order of dismissal with the platform party first, followed by faculty and newly graduated students. Please remain seated until your row is dismissed. Family and friends, you may meet your graduates outside of the Moda Center on the promenade. Congratulations to all of you again. Marshals, please lead us out.